Earlier this morning, I sold some of the crypto in my portfolio, and I wanted to make this video to explain exactly why I did it and what I'm expecting next. Now, I will say, before you get annoyed with me in the comments, listen, I did not do this as a result of a change in sentiment towards the market. No, I'm not flip-flopping. No, I don't think that the crypto market's now about to just crash to 60K and the bear market's about to start. It has nothing to do with that. It is simply just a part of my broader strategy, and that's what I'm going to be explaining to you today. And so with that said, and without further ado, let's go ahead and let's get into the video. So as you all know, over the last couple days, Bitcoin has been acting a little crazy, right? We obviously saw the big fall off in which Bitcoin fell from $109,000 all the way down to $98,000 before, of course, recovering after news of a ceasefire between Israel and Iran last night. Now, as a result of this, the market's been in a bit of a shakeup, right? Everybody's like, what in the world was that? We saw it pump, and then we saw it dump, and then pump, and then dump, and then pump, and these lizard people are just licking their lips as all of these liquidations to the top side and the bottom side have happened over and over and over again. Well, as this has started to play out, and as I've been watching incredibly closely how this structure has been forming, I noticed something earlier this morning. And what I noticed was that as Bitcoin has been getting manipulated, and as Bitcoin's price has been forcing the market up and down consistently, it has actually started to create a very recognizable structure that I think many of you are going to appreciate, and that's the good old descending channel. As you all know, descending channels are one of my favorite structures in all of crypto because historically they are very bullish. The reason they're very bullish is because they are one of the best reset patterns that there is. Because listen, when crypto pumps like this, when it goes straight up, it's going to have to reset. It's going to have to calm down. It's going to have to cool down. And when it cools down, it has one of two options, realistically. It's either going to do, I guess one of three options. It's either going to do this, in which is going to cool down by going directly back down and trying to find some sideways movement. It's going to do this, in which is going to just gradually pull back a little bit before oftentimes trying to continue upwards, or is going to go sideways. Now, out of these three different options, right, which look like this, this, and this, I always prefer this option. And the reason being is because I've noticed it's the most healthy. It takes the least amount of time because this reset does happen much quicker than this one. And in addition to that, it doesn't cause super big panic like this does, right? And so overall, I prefer this form of resetting because listen, resets will always happen. They're normal, they're natural, they're not even scary. It's what's supposed to happen. And so if one has to happen, I will almost always choose this one. And what is this? Well, this is called a descending channel. Descending channels are, again, one of my favorite forms of reset patterns. And I've just recognized earlier today that Bitcoin has now officially created this descending channel after leaving that HMZ that we were in a little while ago. And so since we have, of course, now the macro descending channel, my strategy does shift a little bit. And what I do within this descending channel is now a little bit different to what I was doing before. So now I want to make this video explaining to you, okay, since we're now in this descending channel confirmed as of now, this is exactly what my plan is. Now, I did go ahead and say it over in the school. So let me just kind of read this here. It'll set the tone for you. So over in the school earlier, I said, well, yesterday was indeed a great buying opportunity as we figured it would be. As you all know, we did do some buying on, Solana, Sweet, Bitcoin, ETH, XRP, ADA, and XLM when Bitcoin's price fell to 99.6K. Then, of course, Bitcoin entered into the fear territory on the Fear and Greed Index. So I told people I think this is probably a great buying opportunity. And well, it ended up being that as Bitcoin's price did pump afterwards. And so I went and said, that I have also now recognized that Bitcoin seems to be entering into a descending channel on the macro charts. As a result, I want to do a little range trading, and I've taken profits off the table from the purchase we did a few days ago. Small profits, but profits indeed. I'll take more if Bitcoin manages to make it to $108,000. I took profits off of all major positions that I have that are up. This doesn't include any of my newer bags like DAG and SMPL. Now, this is, of course, Constellation Network. This is Simple AI, and I am actually going to tell you guys a little bit more about Constellation Network in a little while and why I did actually buy a little bit more of Constellation Network. I'll tell you in a couple minutes. Okay, so stay tuned for that. But overall, again, I did take a bit of profits off the table. Now, Tyler, I know what you're wondering. Tyler, why did you take profits here? I mean, what's the strategy for the descending channel? Well, it's honestly extremely simple. When crypto enters into descending macro channels, it is within my strategy to just accumulate on the bottom 25% and to take profits in the top 50%. What does that mean? Well, if we're looking at this channel right here, it can actually be broken down into quadrants, okay? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all of these drawings and I'm going to show you what these quadrants can look. It's not particularly quadrants. It's more like just fourths or quarters, okay? But what I can do is I can go in and get my parallel channel tool and I can draw in the tops. So I'm simply just going to draw my highs from this high to this high, which is going to automatically apply my lows from this low to this low. Now, that's how I knew the parallel channel was confirmed, because we now have a parallel level of support on the bottom, the same levels that we do at the top. That confirms that this is a parallel channel. What that then gives us is, of course, the top. It gives us the bottom, and it gives us the 50% threshold. My strategy is to buy in the bottom 25% and take profits in the top 50%. So in order to identify the bottom 25%, I'm going to take another parallel channel, and I'm going to draw it at this 50% mark. And what that's going to do is it's going to give me this bottom 25% because it's halfway of halfway, so it's 25%, right? Now, if I want to get real creative, one thing that I can do is do this. I can draw in another parallel channel at that 25% mark and then make it green. And what that's going to do is it's going to give me like a green box down here. And my strategy, put extremely simply here, guys, whenever we are in descending channels, is that I like to go in, I like to buy whenever Bitcoin enters into this green zone, right? Anytime it enters into this green zone, and I like to sell anytime that Bitcoin bounces out of this green zone into the red zone. And I do it over and over and over again until Bitcoin breaks out of this. And the reason why I do this is because it's an opportunity to just lock in more and more and more profit while Bitcoin is simply trading downwards, while it's going down. So most people in this moment are either going to be losing money or quite simply just breaking even right now because Bitcoin's price is going sideways slash barely downwards. What I'd rather do, instead of just barely making it or barely losing money, is to be generating profit on these swings that Bitcoin's going to have until they stop happening. And so if you now look at, of course, the buy-sell bubble sheet, which we created, 6, 7, 8 months ago, you can now see how that played out. We have been doing these purchases while Bitcoin is below the 50, but specifically at this 25% threshold. And now we're going to start taking these profits off the table when it enters into the top 50%. I do wish I would have taken a little bit more profit off the table when we hit the top side of the structure back here. But to be honest with you, I just didn't recognize that the descending channel was being created because it hadn't been created yet. The descending channel didn't get created until we put this low in. So I hadn't recognized that that's what was happening right here, which is why I missed this sell opportunity. Okay. Now I will tell you, all of these buys and sells that I do are documented over in the school, which is where you can see this post that I made here. So feel free to go check that out. But yes, overall, that is my strategy. And so that's why I took some profit this morning. It has nothing to do with the fact that I think that Bitcoin's about to crash. It has nothing to do with the fact that I don't think those things, right? I don't think that the bull market is just going to magically come to an end. I think that Bitcoin's still in a fantastic spot. I'm still extremely bullish about the future of crypto right now. So no, I don't think Bitcoin's about to just nuke down to 60K. It's just my strategy. And my strategy says that when we enter into these accumulative periods where I think we're heading into an accumulation structure, I think it's best to range trade this bad boy while it is happening like this, right? While we are seeing Bitcoin making this move, I will be buying towards this bottom 25%, again, identifiable by this green box. Here, let me get it drawn on for you. Identifiable by this green box right here. Boom, this one. And I will be taking profit anytime that Bitcoin goes into this top 50%. Now, if you want me to be real specific, which I'm happy to be real quick, I'll do a little bit of selling when it's in this, right here. So whenever it's in this bright red zone, I do a lot of selling. When it's in this kind of red zone, I do a little bit of selling and I don't do anything right here. I basically do nothing in between the 50% and the 25% threshold just because this is kind of like a dead man's lane. Not much generally happens here. I'd be fine to do a little DCAing here, but I don't usually do much there. I wait for it to hit that bottom 25%. Then I start taking profits when we hit this top 15 or, this 25% here. And then, of course, this 50% here. So I think you get the point, right? The top half of this channel, I do some selling. The bottom half of this channel, I start getting ready to buy and I buy once we hit this bottom 25%. And if you want to know how it's broken down, it's like this. It's like 25, and then this is the 50, and this is the 75, and this is the 100, right? So 100 to 75, 75 to 50, 50 to 25, 25 to 0. That's how that's broken down, and that's when I do my purchasing, okay? Now, with that in mind, as I told you all, this doesn't, I guess, apply to everything because the only thing I didn't sell are any of my newer bags. So you all know I recently added Constellation Network to my bag. I added Simple AI to my bag. Simple AI is still up multiple hundreds of percentages since we did that buy, and DAG is a little bit down right now, but I am still confident in it to the point where I did actually accumulate a little bit more. And the reason why I did do a little bit more buying is just because of what we saw over the weekend, right? So we obviously saw the United States kind of get involved with the Middle East a little bit more than usual, as they did, of course, bomb those nuclear sites in Iran. Now, the reason, obviously, why I did go in and start buying a little bit more of DAG is because they do have ties to the federal government. In the video that I made on DAG, which you can feel free to go check out on the channel, I told you all about the fact that there are governmental institutions that are actively using the Constellation Network for their operations. And as we are, of course, seeing, the Space ISAC, National DigiFoundry, Government Blockchain Association, the Digital Chamber, as we are seeing many of these different companies and institutions that are associated with the government starting to adopt the world of Web3 more and more, they're using Constellation Network. And I told you all, it makes no sense how no one's talking about the Constellation Network considering how small it is, but I think it's absolutely massive. And what I noticed is that over the weekend, many of the cryptos that pump the most are the ones that are tied to the government in some way, right? Obviously, Bitcoin is tied to major institutions and the government in some capacity. Ethereum is purchased a ton by WLF. XRP is massively tied to government and a massive lobbyist. You look at ADA, we all know that Charles is a massive lobbyist as well. And so with that in mind, it was evident to me that many of the cryptos that are doing the best over the last 24 hours are the ones who have ties to institutions and the government. And obviously knowing that the government itself uses Constellation Network, I thought it was an obvious choice, especially considering the DAG token still just hasn't got the attention that I think it deserves yet. So I did buy a little bit of that. I also did notice that as the whole war thing did start to spiral a little bit, people did start injecting more stablecoin and liquidity on passive income protocols. And knowing that Constellation Network has a massive delegation network, it made a ton of sense to me as well. I was like, well, people are going to want to, of course, look for these ones that are tied to the government. They're going to want to use passive income protocols and staking protocols. Constellation Network checks both of those boxes. Why would I not buy a little bit more, especially as its price did fall just a tiny bit from when I did initially purchase? So that was one of the only ones that I did buy yesterday, but obviously that's a little bit more of a risk play just because I think there's opportunity there. But overall, that's kind of what I've done. That's my plan. And I hope you guys can kind of see it now, right? As the market does continue to shift and change, and as things start to happen, you will notice that I shift my strategies. And that is because I have a big book of strategies that I use depending on what's happening in the market. And the sole intention of having all of these strategies is to be able to, of course, go in no matter what's happening in the market and make gains. And so my plan here is while Bitcoin is stuck in this little channel and it's having these lows here and we're seeing these highs, I'm going to continue to accumulate at the lows. I'm going to continue to take profit at the highs and let this puppy just keep cycling over and over and over again. So even if Bitcoin's price does fall back to 97K, while everybody else is freaking out, I'm not going to be worried. I'm just going to be executing on my strategy. And I will actually say that I do have a bit of a gift for you all. As you all know, I did tell you that I am going to be releasing my free crypto playbook in just less than 1 month now. And what I told you all is that I'd every now and then release pieces from the playbook that I think you might want to see. And one of the chapters from the playbook is actually long-term range trading, which is exactly what this is. It's trading this range in more of a long-term perspective. And what I'm going to do today is that if you sign up to the crypto playbook, the link is down below. It's completely for free. If you sign up today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you this chapter, which goes over long-term range trading, exactly how it works, what it looks like, and why it's one of my favorite pieces of the strategy. And just for a little bit of a sneak peek into the school, you can see how this thing is starting to shape out, or into the playbook, you can see how this thing is starting to shape out. It's looking pretty dang on good. So again, head to the link down below, go sign up today, and you are going to get this entire chapter sent to you completely, again, for free. So feel free to check that out and let me know your thoughts down below. Are you guys buying right now? Are you selling right now? What's your thoughts? What's your strategy? Let me know down there. Smash that like button, and I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.